Hello, flower friends. This is Jen, and you are listening to the Floral Hustle podcast, and I have a special treat today. I have my friend Liz that I actually met at one of the recent MN Floral Collective events, and we just hit it off because there's not many times you can meet someone that also has a podcast. So I want to introduce Liz. And Liz, can you just tell me a little bit about your business and about
Thank you, Jen. So again, Liz Fiedler, Sunny Mary Meadow. I am just outside of St. Joe, Minnesota, which is just outside of St. Cloud, Minnesota. So we live about, 90 minutes apart, something like that.
Yep.
And I got started in high school. I was really interested in flowers. I was in FFA, and floriculture was my competition. So it was kind of like
I was in 4-H. It was my jam.
Oh yeah. 4-H. Yep. I showed cows.
Anyway, I showed goats and bunnies.
So I didn't really know how I was going to make a living out of that, but it was just kind of like my party trick. Like I'd be in college and, there'd be like an arrangement there. And I'm like, identify flowers. Because that was part of our competition. And I'd be like, that's a cymbidium orchid or whatever it was. Because I had to know it in high school. But again, how do you make a living out of that versus the only thing I knew about flowers was like the tiny little floral shop in town. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to run a gift shop or, whatever.
No retail.
And so I went to school for nursing, got my doctorate degree as a nurse practitioner. I'm a pretty driven person. So just always learning, always growing. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, I always had a little flower garden. My husband at the time, so actually I was widowed in 2020. He passed away of a heart attack, but we started this little farm stand out of COVID selling flowers out of the end of our driveway. And so season 1, we sold a couple hundred bouquets. And then for every bouquet, we gave a second one to a nursing home. And then into year 2, that was after he had passed away. I did it times 4. So,
and there was a big change there.
Yep. And then I had my second baby during that time because I found out I was pregnant the day after the funeral. And so my flower business exploded, I think, somewhat out of, I'll just say it, probably out of pity, right? Like local people are like, okay, let's buy from the pregnant widow. And I'll, whatever.
And the majority of the listeners are moms. Yes, I have tons of moms that listen to the podcast.
And so my flower business just kind of exploded, and I realized what I wanted and what was on my heart. And I tried to keep working as a nurse practitioner 3 days a week and doing this. And I was like, I'm just going to do both and we'll see what happens. And
because we can do everything.
And then it finally made me realize like, okay, what do I want? What re-energizes me? What makes me happy? And it's the flowers. So I didn't give up being a nurse practitioner because that's a lot of school.
It is. My sister is one.
So I work 1 day a week still as a nurse practitioner from home doing video visits.
Okay.
But otherwise I have my business, and I have transitioned it from a seasonal flower farm to a year-round business. I have my podcast, the Sunny Mary Meadow podcast, where I talk about growing cut flowers. And that's all it was going to be. And then that turned into people asking me, because we sell about, I think last year I cleared like $150,000 in growth in my flower farm. Not including any.
That's not a shake it
coaching, anything. No, so it's a lot. And I'm not saying that's not how much I paid myself. God, I wish. But learned how to turn it into a profitable business that replaced my nurse practitioner revenue. And then, there's people who, how are you going to do it? How are you actually, you can make money. Flower farming. It's just taken me a long time to figure it out. But I realized that if I was trying to do both, in the words of Ron Swanson, you can't half-ass two things. Just put your whole ass into one thing. And so that's what I decided to do while still being responsible
and a mom,
practitioner license, and a mom, and a fiance. I'm getting married again.
Yay!
But my flower farm now, we do from the beginning, I would say from mid-April through mid-October, we sell anywhere from 200 to 300 bouquets a week. And I say we're field to base bouquets and experiences. Most of it is what we grow, but then in the off season, I do buy some wholesale and then supplement that way. I've kind of transitioned my farm into year round and figured out what my customers want and really built a loyal customer base. I would say I have about 500 customers if I had to guess.
And I do feel like experiences are such a big trend right now. Like people want to feel how you feel every day, how I feel when I go out and I'm picking flowers or growing flowers. And so it sounds like a couple of those experiences do pretty well for you.
Yes.
And when I heard them, I was like, holy shit, I want to talk to you about that, because they, like, workshops especially are something so many florists, they do a ton of work. They do a ton of like marketing, and then they have a lack of results, then are discouraged. And it sounds like your workshops go pretty well. I think you said you had 50 people at your porch pots, which I know a lot of florists that do porch pots. I see it. If you have not been at our local wholesaler, when porch pots come, like, it is crazy. And then there's pallets and pallets of just, it is a really big business. And you had a workshop with 50 people. You had a Thanksgiving workshop with 50.
I did a Thanksgiving centerpiece that had 50 tickets. That sold out in 18 hours. So I added a second one of 30 tickets.
So how the hell does that work? How did you do that? Like,
so
that's crazy.
I mean, this is year 2.
Yeah.
I did it last year.
Okay.
I have a weekly newsletter that I get a lot of my customers to sign up for, and they know that I don't post a lot on social media as far as like what my offerings are or what's for sale. I mean, I get it kind of reminded, but I train them to open the newsletter, and that has been incredibly intentional.
What's in your newsletter? Because that probably seems really overwhelming to most people.
Yeah. So honestly, my newsletter is if anyone wants to just sign up for it, just to know what's in it, just go to my website, sunnymarymeadow.com, and sign up for the newsletter. But I'll put things like, in the summertime, surprise, the cooler's getting too full. We're going to do ranunculus, $150 a stem. Come on out on Saturday. Like things like that. Or just little like VIP offerings, right? Or we did an event at the farm this summer called Sunfest, and we charged $65 a person, which I was so nervous about because that's a lot of money.
Well, so many people are worried about charging for these experiences.
But I made a huge bouquet, and it was for people that aren't subscription holders, because I have about 100 people that get flowers every single week.
Okay.
So that event I knew this probably isn't for my subscription holders because they already have flowers every single week. Okay. This is for those that they want to come to one thing one time. They want to be part of my farm, experience it. And it was like a massive 25 stem bar where they got to build their own bouquet. And there was a recipe. So it was like the buckets were lined up, and it was like 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these. And they just kind of went down this assembly line and made their bouquet. And, but so that event, for example, I didn't put it on Facebook. It was just in the newsletter. And then, but again, and I did that last year, and then people are seeing photos of it and they're like, what is that? Why didn't I didn't know about it. I'm like, oh, should have read the newsletter. And like, just, and I tell them, but that's how I can get people to open the newsletter, because unfortunately I feel like for me, the transparency I've brought in my business is what my customers connect to. I show up in my stories.
Well, you seem very authentic. And I know that's kind of a trendy word, like being authentic, but like so many people, for one, they won't even show their face. Because they're petrified. And for two, like, they don't feel like people want to know you or understand their story. And like, I feel like that story is what makes your business.
Exactly.
And especially yours.
And they just want to, I'm so real about, the work of the ranunculus or whatever. Like right now, so I overwintered. So I planted some this fall. I have no idea if they're going to live. So I saved all my corms last year. They all saw me do it. I let them die back naturally. I have 2,000 new corms in my basement.
So a corm is, the ranunculus comes from a corm. It actually looks like a little mini octopus, if you guys don't know, but they are about the size of a quarter. And then you have to soak them and pup them up.
And they're not supposed to freeze solid. And what happens in Minnesota?
It gets pretty frozen. Have you ever dug a dahlia tuber up after you accidentally left it?
Yes. And it's mush.
Horrible.
It's mush. And so that's, so they're watching this journey.
Are they in a tunnel?
They're in a tunnel. Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
So I have a mini tunnel over my regular tunnel, but like, we'll see. And I just said, your guys' guess is as good as mine, but if this works, I'm going to have ranunculus end of April.
That would be amazing.
And that's going to be awesome. And if it doesn't work, well,
you tried.
They can, and they know that I'm doing it for them. Like they know that you guys, it's so that you guys can have
Flowers.
Yep.
We do have a short and weirdly ever-changing growing season here in Minnesota.
Yep.
And that seems to be, I mean, even the last 2 years have been different than the 3 years before employing growing flowers. So,
and so with this, the particular workshops that we talked about, so I do a lot of workshops on my farm, but I can only fit, well, it depends. In the summertime, I have had groups up to 50, but we've had to like do it in shifts. Like one of my
waves.
one of my team members, I'm like, okay, you guys give the tour, you guys do this, and I'm going to have 20 of them make a bouquet, and then we'll switch and do it again. Otherwise, a lot of times we can, and I'll do private groups where they can come out and just like privately have a private pick on their own, and they can book their own. And that I ended up doing on Tuesday nights last summer. And I didn't even really advertise those. I just said newsletter. I didn't even put those in my newsletter. I emailed all of my subscription holders, which is about 100 of them, actually between spring and summer subscription holders. And that's where like they pay in the off season, like right now, and they pay for either 6 weeks of spring flowers or 10 weeks of summer. And so then I sent them an email and said, okay, guys, I'm going to take 10. Do any of you want to come? And, you have to bring at least 8 people, but you can reserve a night. And I know who they all are. I know the cars they drive. I know who they are. I don't make them prepay. I'm like, yeah, just pay me that night. Like, yeah. And it's fine. And then,
so how do you think you like got 50 people to sign up for a porch box patchwork?
So I think, talking about it in my stories, what we're going to do, how we're going to do this, talking about just talking about the wholesale price, something that people can relate to. I don't know if this is good, bad, or otherwise, but you go to our local grocery store and I'm like, okay, these ugly things are $70. I can make one prettier than that for probably about the same price. I mean, that is what I charge, but let's make them a little fun. Let's put some video games.
And
let's
like,
put some
that's an
experience. Exactly. And that was my thing too, was I want it far enough out, that, I would say the majority of it was friends or sisters or mother-daughter or aunt and niece or whatever. And it's like, spend that time with that person before the holidays get busy. And this is something that you're going to enjoy all day long. So for $2 a day, you get this porch pod for 6 weeks or longer on your printer that makes you think of
that
your daughter.
Not in your daughter.
It's like, I made that. And literally people come in
and people are proud to share that and post it on their social media. And if they do and tag you, like I find experiences because I love, bringing my kiddos places that are just like an experience. And like, they want to share that, especially like I've screenshotted those things. So like next year, I want to bring my kids here around Christmas time or whatever. Which I think getting your customers conditioned or even like talking about, hey, tag me in this so I can share it. So there's another person sharing their information and sharing like what they're proud of. Because they made something awesome.
And I would say, last summer with my picks, when people got to come out and pick their own flowers, the very first one that I had, I ended up picking, I think 10 like really loyal OG customers. And I said, bring a friend, come for free, post the crap out of it. And they were like, okay, am I an influencer? I'm like, yes, you're an influencer, but it worked.
Yeah.
And I sold out. I only sold. So what I do for mine is $35 to come pick like a 32-ounce cup. And then, so that's for that person, but I do a $5 watching fee. Nobody steps foot on my farm without paying for something.
Yeah.
It's my home. It's my property. I want to know who's coming and going. And it keeps, and I don't mean to sound like nobody comes to my farm without paying, but I can't have 200 people like running around and parking and just monitoring that and worried about who's here, who's not. And it makes it a lot less enjoyable for those that are there. And I know it turned some people off. They were like, well, what do you mean I can't bring my kids? I'm like, okay, if you want to bring a 2-year-old, I won't charge for that. But like your 3-year-old, no, we're paying. And because you're paying that $5,
and they're going to want to pick flowers. Like
exactly. And it keeps it level. It keeps it enjoyable. It keeps it to a certain like relaxing number. And then it allows me to, okay, I'm capping it at 30 pickers and 30 watchers. So I put 60 tickets on there. So 60 people from 7:30 to 10:30. usually at any given point, there's about 35 to 40 people there and there's plenty of room.
And how do you balance that with your family and just like that space and distance?
Yeah. So we do it on Saturday mornings. I intentionally picked Saturday mornings because my fiance, he plays Australian rules football. So he comes down every single Saturday morning down here to the cities.
Okay.
And does that. And then, so it's the Minnesota Freeze. And so he's gone anyway. And it's something that, and I always have at least one, if not two employees there helping me because that's a lot of people. I mean, that's a lot of people to manage.
Come on a day like that?
So 60. I mean, I cap it off. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And it caps out?
Yep. Oh yeah. Every
Holy
single
crap.
week it sells out. And then, and I've started to think about, okay, do I do punch cards? Do I do voucher? Some
Next
people have
level
asked about like a you pick subscription or, and I'm like, okay, if you pay for 5 at once, do you get 1 free or something like that?
Yeah.
But yeah, it just really is the experience and the connection. And once they see where the flowers are grown, and then now as long as they're there, oh, did you know you can actually get subscriptions next year? Or those people that,
and that's a great way to have revenue. I mean, in the middle of winter when it is more bleak.
Yeah. And so I have a course. It's actually called Peddling Perishable Products, where I teach flower farmers how to make money. I mean, how to make money. And honestly, it's a very, literally, I'm pulling back the curtain and showing them exactly what I do. I mean, I literally show them like exactly how I do my bank account. Like, okay, I have 7 accounts and every month I transfer this percentage into here, this percentage profit first. Of course, I love my college.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yep, I show them how I do profit first. I show them how I turn it into a seasonal business or turn it into a year-round business. And so like my sales count for that month. So in the summertime, my subscriptions, that was my November income. That was my December income. In the summertime, my income is my stem bars and my.
So I want to talk about stem bars because that was also fascinating when we talked about that. Like, explain what is a stem bar? How do you market it? And like, what are some just basic details?
Yeah. So I wanted a way, basically, I started out with a farm stand, which I think is something that so many people do, or like, farmers markets or whatever, and they're cute. But like, what do you do with the ones that don't sell? Right? You throw them away because they're perishable. So,
or you can donate them.
And that's what I do. But honestly, that's work too.
That is a lot of work.
In the volume that I'm doing. Like I couldn't keep up with that. And to get it at a good time. And then I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, the status is still good. The Lysianthus is probably still good. The zinnias, nope. And now I got to trim them. And like, it just, there was no way. I mean, I would look at my time and the time of my employees. And especially once I started hiring more employees, I'm like, okay, now it really is, because either I do this myself or I pay someone else to do it. I'm looking at my own time. But so that's why I named my course Peddling Perishable Products. Peddling perishable products takes planning. And it's, and I would get invited to these vendor fairs and they're like, oh yeah, we're expecting a lot of people. And I'm like, well, I want to make it worth this. So I bring 50 bouquets. Yeah. And what do I do after I've been sitting in the hot sun, whatever? So I decided.
And they've been sitting in the hot sun.
Exactly. So then I decided to make these stem bars where I bring buckets of flowers and people can make their own. And now the ones that I have left, I have a plan for them. Yeah. So it's not just where those flowers go, but it's the plan for them afterwards, basically. And so that I'm not throwing buckets away. And I do most of them at my farm so they can a lot of times stay in the cooler. I actually created a course. It's $97 for, I called it Secrets of Sold Out Stem Bars. So it's a 30-minute video of me talking all about them and like a 20-page.
And you don't need to be a flower farmer, I think.
No. I do them in the off season. So I do one for Galentine's Day. Not Valentine's Day, Galentine's Day. And it's all wholesale flowers that I
where do you do something like that?
So that's at one of the breweries in Wake Park, Minnesota. So it's a big, just part. We actually, Galentine's Day, we did it on Super Bowl Sunday this year. I had people emailing me, are there any more spots? I'm like, I'm sorry, I already ordered flowers. Like,
I don't get how people are so last minute.
But I mean, I did not U-Picks, not subscriptions, not extra bouquets, not weddings, not private events. I did $20,000 of sales last year, just stem bars. Mm-hmm. That's every Monday at my farm, and then every other Tuesday at a brewery.
And how did they get that course?
So if you go to my website, sunnymarymeadowcoaching.com. So sunnymarymeadow.com is my flower farm. sunnymarymeadowcoaching.com is my resources for flower farmers.
Okay.
Yep. And then, so with that course is like a mini course within peddling perishable products. So anyone that buys that between now and March 1st is the next cohort of peddling perishable products. I have 15 flower farmers in there. There's modules that they get to access, but then we also have some group coaching, some individual coaching, interaction. But anyone who buys sold out stem bars, I will give them $97 off of peddling perishable products because it's included in peddling perishable products.
Okay. But they can get the mini course.
They can get the mini course right now.
And that's something they want.
And that's the reason that, there's 10 different modules in peddling perishable products. This is really the only one that I'm doing a la carte because I feel like anyone can implement it.
Yeah.
And like I said, to me, it's like, okay, so $97 pretty much every Monday at my farm without fail, I sell between $800 and $1,200. I turn that 97, like the amount, but then the amount of waste that is reduced and the savings and whatever.
And spreading your name.
Exactly. And, the Instapics and whatever.
Yeah. Well, and the experience, like people sharing videos.
Love it. And I don't charge a ticket for that one for the stem bars. I shouldn't say nobody ever gets to my farm without buying something. That is one that people can come and just like make their own.
Okay.
But I know that no one's going to come and buy anything. Whereas the UPICs, if it's just, if it's $35 to pick, like they might not pick. And then they're just taking pictures or enjoying it. And it just gets overcrowded. Where
these photographers come to your farm too?
I do. So I had a couple of photographers that rented hourly, like 3 or 4 hours at a time for mini sessions.
Yeah.
And then I have a lot of people
especially
who do
sunflower mini.
Yep. And then I do a lot of, like senior pictures, family pictures, stuff like that.
That was so good to talk to you. Like, I think that those two ideas, like the stem bar and like how to effectively have workshops, is something that is uncapped potential for so many florists. And it was just so nice to hear. And if you guys want to check out her mini course, just go to sunnymarymeadowcoaching.com. Because I love courses. I love learning. And that sounds like a great one. So
thank you,
so much for coming.
All right.